Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing something a little different. We're taking a set of deeply personal narrative transcripts and performing what you might call an emotional excavation.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission is to really map out the internal world of a forbidden attraction. We're talking about a woman's secret love for her married boss.
Right. And what we're really doing here is tracking the evolution of an obsession. This is the story of Isabel, who's 35, and her boss, Robert, aged 40.
And it all starts in a pretty normal, small office setting.
Exactly. And our job is to pinpoint those specific tiny details that turned a completely standard working relationship into a source of, well, profound and silent pain for her.
The source material is so good because it gives us a clear baseline. Isabel had, and I'm quoting here, a quiet life before Robert arrived.
Right.
So what we need to dissect are the micro moments. What are the tiny actions that suddenly turn a professional boundary into an emotional tripwire?
That is the key question. We're looking for what some psychologists might call emotional salience.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically when certain things, certain stimuli get amplified. They become overwhelmingly significant because, well, the person is already primed for that connection.
Okay, so let's unpack those initial sparks then. Robert is described as kind, friendly, smiles a lot, soft voice, the kind of person who just makes everyone feel happy.
That's the charisma baseline, yes, but the attachment goes way beyond that and it happens fast.
So what are the specific actions in the source that really act as catalysts?
The source points to a few critical behaviors. First, and this is maybe the most important, Robert remembered every little thing Isabel said.
That's powerful.
It's incredibly powerful. That kind of attention, it just breaks through the day-to-day noise of an office. It satisfies that deep human need to be seen.
Yeah, to be seen as an individual. Because remembering a small detail about someone's weekend, it signals a kind of intimacy, whether it's intended or not.
Exactly. And then you add the other factors. He made her laugh, which is a huge bonding agent. And then there's the physical element.
He stood near her when they talked.
Yes. Blurring that professional distance. The text says she immediately felt warm when he looked at her.
So you've got validation, humor, physical proximity. But the real insight from this early part comes from a totally normal question that just takes on this huge weight.
It's the phrase that really acts as the detonator. He just asks, "Are you okay today?"
And her reaction.
It's a physical shock. The source says, "My heart was beating fast." A simple professional question becomes, through her lens, a declaration of personal care.
And the professional interaction is it's gone. It's replaced by this visceral, involuntary response.
Which brings up the power dynamic. The fact that he's the boss has to amplify all of this, right? The excitement and the fear.
Absolutely. It introduces a layer of what you might call a liminal space. The office is supposed to be ordered, safe. But because he's the authority figure, his attention carries this perceived power.
And that's why it spirals so quickly. She admits she started thinking about him at night, saying, "I didn't want to, but I couldn't stop." The admiration has become a fixation.
And that fixation, which starts out as this private fantasy, it just smashes headfirst into a reality check.
It's the moment the whole narrative shifts, isn't it? From a crush to something forbidden and painful.
The source delivers it so bluntly. Then one day, I saw his ring.
"He's married. My heart broke." Just like that. That one visual cue confirms that the connection she felt, which was so real to her, has no sanctioned path forward.
And then you see this awful cognitive dissonance set in. She tries to manage it. She tells herself, you must forget him.
But it's already too late. The pain becomes a daily thing, defined by that one thought. He is not mine.
And the cost of that secret is immense. She's forced to live in this constant emotional disguise. The source is very clear. He doesn't know my secret. No one knows.
It's an invisible wound she has to protect every single moment she's near him.
And you can see how that effort just drains her. There are these precise examples of the physical toll.
Like in meetings.
Yeah, in meetings, she's totally consumed with just controlling her gaze.
Yeah.
Trying not to stare at his face while he's looking at a screen. That takes a huge amount of energy.
And that tension builds and builds until there's this moment where the internal emotion it kind of breaches the surface.
The moment with the computer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's helping her, and his hand touches hers by mistake. And the reaction is so intense, her heart jumps, her face feels hot.
She wanted to cry. And she has this thought, love hurts.
That small moment is a little piece of the fantasy fulfilled, right? The thrill of contact. But the full, undeniable confirmation of his real life, That happens outside the office.
And it completely obliterates the fantasy.
Yes. The park scene, she's trying to clear my mind, seeks out fresh air, and then she hears his voice.
She sees him with his wife, little boy, little girl. They're all laughing. And the detail that's just crushing is Robert picking up his daughter and kissing her head.
That image totally transforms him. It defines his identity outside of the bubble they share at work.
Her reaction is complete shutdown. She froze. Her heart felt heavy. The source says he looked different. Not like my boss, but like a husband, like a father.
And that's it. That's the moment that forces her internal world to finally align with reality. Robert belongs to them, not to me.
So that night, she's lying in bed whispering, "Forget him, Isabel." But her heart is screaming back, "I can't." And that struggle just sets up the climax of the whole story, which happens the very next Monday.
She goes back to work feeling heavy. But this time, Robert notices. He sees the shift in her.
And asks that same loaded question again. "Isabel, are you okay today? You look a little sad."
Which means the secret isn't perfectly contained anymore. Someone has seen a crack.
Then he sits beside her and delivers this defining compliment. He tells her she's a good person, she's quiet but strong, and then the word that just anchors everything.
Special.
Special. She says, "My heart stopped." Special. That word stayed in my head.
It's this massive emotional validation. He sees her, the person she is, outside of this secret love she's carrying.
So she cries that night, completely torn between being happy that he sees her and so sad that he can't be hers.
Which leads them directly to the late-night confrontation. They're alone in the office.
The ultimate liminal space for this story.
And Robert is the one who makes the first move. He tells her, "You are important to me." And then comes the confession.
"I am married, but I like you, Isabel. You make me feel alive."
It's the classic painful admission, isn't it? Seeking validation outside of a life you already know. But he immediately puts up his own boundary. He says, "I don't want to hurt my family."
So now she's faced with this huge temptation. He's confirmed his feelings, but he's also confirmed the barrier. And the entire story really hangs on her response here.
It would be so easy to cling to that hope, to believe he might actually leave. The source says she was tempted.
But this is the turning point. She chooses her own moral boundary over her desire. She says, "Robert, I like you too, but you have a family. I don't want to be the reason for pain."
A truly defining moment for her.
But hold on. It's easy for us to praise her for taking the high road. But isn't there a risk that this silent sacrifice just reinforces the idea that she has to prioritize his family's happiness over her own deep needs?
That's a crucial distinction to make, and I think the way the narrative frames it, the sacrifice isn't about submitting to his life, it's an act of self-possession.
Okay, how so?
She realizes that pursuing him means signing up for a relationship that is, by its very nature, full of sadness and secrets. She's already felt the toll of that, so her choice is really about preventing more pain for herself.
That makes sense. And the consequence is immediate: to keep a distance, the boundaries enforced.
Right, and that leads directly to her path towards self-resolution. She thinks a lot about love and pain and realizes loving a married man was structurally, well, unsound. It could never deliver the happiness she deserved.
And she makes this very proactive decision for herself. She tells herself, "Isabel, you must be strong. You must love yourself first."
She stops hoping. The focus shifts entirely inward.
And this transforms all that pain into a lesson. A lesson in what? Self-actualization.
I think so, yes. She develops a new definition of love. It's not just about holding on to someone. She realizes love is also about letting go.
So in the end, she chose strength, but did she actually find freedom?
The source ends on this note of cautious triumph. It wasn't easy, but the result is liberation. She starts to smile again. She starts to love herself.
And she's free and ready for a new beginning, even though Robert will always be a part of her story.
She successfully went from involuntary fixation to voluntary self-sovereignty.
That structure, navigating this deep internal conflict by choosing her own moral alignment, that's what makes this so valuable. We've dissected how the weight of secrets can ultimately force an act of self-preservation.
Which brings up a really important question for you, the listener. Isabel's heart told her, "I can't forget him," but her mind and her will found a path to freedom.
So if you recognize a difficult hope or quiet pain in your own life, what are the small, everyday decisions you can make?
What are the daily acts of self-affirmation required to turn that pain into your own definitive act of self-love?
Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.